A gang of sorcerers from the evil empire of Acheron made a mask from the skulls of deceased monarchs thousands of years ago. Then, in order to give the mask sinister power, they offered their daughters as sacrifices to the dark gods. Following that, they set out to subjugate the developed globe, slaughtering anybody who tried to stand in their way. Corin, the commander of the Cimmerians, vanquished the sorcerers and destroyed the mask after a fierce and terrible fight with the other barbarian tribes. Then each tribe saved a piece of the mask so that no one could use it, but a prophecy predicted that someone would attempt to reassemble the parts. Acheron eventually also crumbled. The Cimmerians and a rival clan are at war after a while. Corin's pregnant wife is mortally hurt during the fight, but when he discovers her, she begs him to open her tummy so she can give birth to the child, whom she names Conan, before she passes away. Conan's birth is viewed as a potent portent since it occurred on a battlefield. As the years go by, Conan develops into a highly feisty adolescent who can also be incredibly disorganized. Conan comes late, but Corin still permits him to participate the morning when all of the tribe's teenagers take the test to see if they have what it takes to be warriors. To win the tournament, the lads push each other, shatter other eggs, and don't give a damn if anyone falls and gets harmed as they dash into the jungle in search of an egg. A bunch of people come out of nowhere among the woods and sprint after the guys. Most teenagers go back to their tribe, but Conan decides to stay in order to prove himself. A foe seizes the opportunity to toss one of his bolas at Conan, knocking him to the ground, and all the wild warriors rush to encircle him. Conan is being attempted to be taken away by another man, who takes him by the hair. Conan stands up for himself and uses a few punches to knock the man to the ground. He doesn't stop there though. He then takes a weapon from the opposition and resumes the battle without compassion, brutally murdering each man until he is left in the jungle by himself with a number of corpses. A little while later, Conan makes his way back to the tribe while holding the heads of his adversaries and the egg from the trial in his mouth. Now that Conan is an experienced combatant, Corin shows him how to create a sword in his forge. After the initial attempt fails, Corin divulges the family's forging techniques so Conan may construct a sturdy sword and begin his training. Due to Conan's volatile nature and tendency to let his wrath interfere with his learning, his father finds it simple to fool him and win. Corin also informs Conan that he is not yet prepared to own such a weapon. Conan encounters a group of armored soldiers with the image of a two-headed serpent later on while by himself in the jungle. When these soldiers finally reach the tribe, they engage the barbarians in a bloody battle in which several warriors are lost on both sides. The foreigners also have highly skilled archers who engage in mass murder, and soldiers who burn boulders to set houses on fire. Corin becomes sidetracked while attempting to reach Conan as he enters the fray from the jungle, which gives the enemy the opportunity to take him down. When Conan sneaks up on him, he sees that his father has been brought to the foundry to meet the enemy's leader Ziwayam, who wants Corin's mask fragment, while admitting he already has all the other pieces. Corin is restrained and injured to attempt to get him to talk when he refuses. Furious, Conan charges at a warrior called Lucius and manages to amputate his nose. Corin takes advantage of the opportunity to fight as well, but there are too many warriors and the father and son are soon outmatched. After that, Conan is made to watch as Corin is burned while being shackled to a cauldron of hot metal hanging over him. Merike, another member of Ziwayam's party, utilizes her magic skills to locate the mask shard that was concealed in a box under a floorboard. Now that he has accomplished his goal, Ziwayam burns down the foundry, strikes Corin in the legs, and then pokes the cauldron once again, leading Conan to run and grasp the chains in order to prevent the cauldron from killing his father. Ziwayam completes the mask by adding the final shard after Merike takes Corin's sword, telling his daughter that he would use it to bring his mother back. Conan is told by Corin in the foundry to leave him since he cannot help him. Nevertheless, when Conan refuses, Corin ends the situation for himself so that Conan can flee. Conan exits the building, his hands still sore from the shackles, and mourns for his tribe before grabbing a sword from the dead and pledging vengeance. Conan has changed into a mercenary after 20 years. Together, he and Artis, a fellow pirate, invade a slave camp. They begin by throwing a ton of boulders down the mountain to seriously harm the camp. Then they charge in to engage in hand-to-hand combat and eliminate any slave owners they may come across. Nobody can hurt Conan since he is an extremely skilled fighter and cannot take a single blow. The surviving are then brought to Mercenary for a celebration with music, ladies, and booze. Conan notes that a group of men wearing the snake emblem have suddenly arrived at the gathering and are being led by Captain Lucius. Conan realizes they are pursuing a thief by the name of Elishan since they appear to be searching for something. Conan snatches Elishan and assaults a guard before purposefully turning himself in to find out more about his foe. Conan and Elishan are soon sent to a filthy jail where inmates are forced to work. Conan is left in chains, and after one of the guards teases him, Conan leaps in and picks a fight, injuring the other guards and forcing them to divulge where Lucius is hiding. Conan then enters the captain's rooms using the guard's head, where he starts battling additional guards and murdering them to the amusement of the captives watching. Conan then takes Lucius and beats him until he agrees to talk, explaining that ZYM has grown to be a formidable shadow lord and that he is now searching for the pure blood ancestors of the Acheronian sorcerers because he needs their blood to release the mask's full potential. Conan forces Lucius to swallow his key after learning where to find ZYM, then takes him outside while announcing to the other inmates that they are now free and only need to retrieve the key from Lucius' stomach. Soon, a sizable group of enraged men surround Lucius and move to murder him. Conan departs, and Elishan provides him with his whereabouts in case he ever has to repay the favor. Conan begs Artis to give him space to carry out his plan of vengeance when they are reunited. In the meantime, Tamara is in a monastery where the senior priest Fearsome tells her he has seen a warrior who would come to carry her to her birthplace. Suddenly, ZYM and an elder Mary Kay command an army of snake cult troops that invade the monastery in quest of the pure blood. People try to flee as a large vehicle decimates the town's walls out of panic, but ZYM's troops are ruthless and slaughter anybody in their way. Tamara wants to aid in the defense of the town and launches some blows of her own, but Fearsome discovers her and demands that she depart in a carriage that hides behind the snake emblem. Conan spots the wagon in the neighboring woodland and assumes it is the enemy because of the snake. Once he is near enough, he hops on the roof and smashes it to locate Tamara while riding after them. Conan deflects all of the arrows that the woman tries to stab him with as the archers start fire arrows at him. He then mounts the horse and engages in a sword fight with a snake soldier named Remo who has caught up to them. In response to troops attacking the carriage, Tamara gets up from her seat and, after a brief period of precariously balancing on the precipice, throws the driver off and takes control of the vehicle. She disconnects the carriage, causing it to come off and collapse on the road as a soldier approaches, delaying the soldiers. In order to capture a soldier and drag him through the ground until he is dead, Conan moves in closer and cuts the reins of a horse. Remo pursues Tamara as soon as she mounts a horse to ride away more quickly, assaulting the horse to knock Tamara off balance. Conan seizes some chains from a neighboring building at that same moment, climbs from his own horse, and uses them to kill the soldier who had been pursuing him. Soon after, other troops show up, and Conan immediately engages them in combat, slaughtering each one of them mercilessly. When Conan then exposes who he is to Remo, the latter flees in terror. Mary Kay is searching all the temple ladies back in town for the pure blood. Mary Kay runs out of patience and harms the other ladies while killing one of them. She always tastes their blood to find that none of them are who she is seeking for. The guards then fetch Fearsome, who claims that there are no pure bloods remaining, but ZYM doesn't trust him. Then ZYM tells Mary Kay about having to watch as Fearsome ordered his wife to be whipped and put on fire. Fearsome, however, justifies this occurrence by stating that ZYM's wife was a fanatical lunatic who yearned for power to rule the entire world. When ZYM hears this, he snaps and hits Fearsome's skull on the temple floor. When a guard tells ZYM that Remo is still pursuing a lady at that point, ZYM assumes she must be the pure blood. Conan pursues Remo back in the jungle until he is near enough to kill him and cause him to fall off the horse, knocking him unconscious. After that, Tamara asks to be brought to her home country since Conan believes she is the person ZYM is seeking for, and Tamara believes he is the man from Fasser's vision. Conan intends to use Tamara to lure ZYM, so he ties her up as night falls in case she tries to flee. Conan covers Tamara's lips with a piece of cloth to silence her when she starts asking too many questions. The following morning, Remo tells Conan that Tamara is the final Acheron pureblood. He promises Conan a sizable prize for finding her, but Conan restrains Remo by tying him to his horse and forcing him to lead him to ZYM. They ultimately arrive to ZYM's camp after a long journey, where they discover a number of abandoned catapults. Before catapulting Remo, Conan binds him to one of them and covers his mouth with a piece of cloth. Remo dies when he collides with ZYM's massive truck. When Marique examines the body, she discovers the piece of fabric on which Conan has written a request for ZYM to meet. Tamara is with him, Marique proves by casting magic on the fabric. Conan and ZYM eventually cross paths in an abandoned outpost. Although Tamara is restrained by a post, it is simply for display because she is holding a knife. Tamara is trying to be bought by ZYM, but Conan wants a battle. Marique suddenly appears as well, and she used her power to conjure sand troops that launch an instant assault on Conan. They keep avoiding his strikes by fusing with the sand on the ground, making it incredibly difficult for him to combat them. Eventually, Conan is knocked to the ground. Conan then starts to flee as the Sandmen start flinging their weapons at him. Tamara immediately frees herself with the knife, slashes the Sandman, and then runs away as one of the Sandmen approaches. Conan ascends the structure as high as he can, and as the Sandmen pursue him, he moves quickly to force them to the ground where they are crushed back into sand grains. Tamara is being pursued by a Sandman who causes her to tumble through numerous wooden platforms, but Conan kills him just in time to prevent him from getting to Tamara. There is still one Sandman remaining, but Conan has found his sword and uses it to cut it in half in a matter of seconds. Following that, ZYM arrives to engage Conan in a straight sword combat. They first appear to be on about equal footing, but as Conan exposes who he is, Marique takes advantage of the opportunity to poison Conan with a boomerang blade coated with poison. Conan is feeling weak right now, which makes it simple for ZYM to overwhelm him and repeatedly hurl him to the ground. When an opportunity arises, Tamara leads Conan away and ignites some oil that has been spilled to stop ZYM from pursuing them. Then, while waiting for Artus to arrive on his ship, Tamara and Conan plunge into the ocean in order to be saved. Everyone is on board the ship napping when the snake cult suddenly attacks. Conan, Artus, and the others strike out against the troops right away, murdering any of them who dared to search for Tamara. In particular, Conan allows his inner wrath to take control and reminds his opponents of what they did to his clan before murdering them. Tamara makes an effort to defend herself while also murdering a few troops as more and more soldiers are tossed overboard. The crew finally prevails in the battle after much blood, sweat, and effort, and they are free to resume sailing. When the ship finally reaches ZYM's realm, Conan declares he will be traveling alone. Tamara brings the map to Conan after Artus discovers Conan neglected it after he leaves. Conan and Tamara struggle to say goodbye and end up kissing as a result. Then they travel to the closest cave where they may spend a few hours making love to one another. After Conan has slept off, Tamara starts to return to the ship but is ambushed by Marique and her soldiers in the midst of the jungle and taken captive. They have already left when Conan comes hunting for her. Moments later, Marique confirms Tamara is a pureblood descended from the necromancers of Acheron by tasting her blood before taking her to visit ZYM. Conan searches for Elishan while in the City of Thieves. When the proprietor of the bar refuses to answer his inquiries when he arrives, Conan assaults him. Elishan, who is prepared to repay Conan for letting him out of jail, arrives thankfully just in time to halt Conan before things go out of hand. They eventually arrive to ZYM's stronghold, where Conan has taken Elishan in order to figure out how to enter covertly. Elishan uses his unique master key to unlock the entrance to the underground tunnels after they learn that an ancient mine is under the stronghold. When the pair descends some steps, they find that the area is completely submerged and filled with skeletons, so they must take precautions. Conan must swim fast to liberate his comrade Elishan after a large snake suddenly snatches him and takes him underwater. Conan kills the snake with his sword. As Tamara is being dressed in her mother's attire by Mary Kay, she is fastened to a special device in preparation for the rite. Conan and Elishan eventually emerge in a pool inside a chamber with imprisoned prisoners and a guard who panics the moment he sees them. Near the pool, the guy swiftly unleashes a number of slaves, causing a number of tentacles to emerge from the water. While troops arrive to deal with the invaders, many of them are captured and slain by the tentacles as well, so Elishan flees and hides in a cage. While a disgruntled guard tugs on the shackles to shift Elishan's cage so it may serve as bait, Conan battles the guards and avoids the tentacles. Since he doesn't know how to pick locks the conventional method, he drops the key while attempting to open the cage. Conan engages the guard in combat in an attempt to seize the chains. As they trade blows, Conan wraps the chain around the soldier's torso and then strikes him with a mace, knocking him into the ocean. When Conan pulls the guard with the chains once again, the guard looks like a blood decoration since the monster attacked him right once and began to devour his legs. Conan can now leap upon Elishan's cage to rescue him at last before they flee. The two go to the balcony after navigating the different corridors and see that Tamara is being carried to Skull Cave. Conan informs Elishan that he has settled his obligation and is now traveling alone. By the time Conan arrives in Skull Cave, it is already dark. ZYM is harming Tamara in order to obtain her blood on the mask as Conan battles a few guards to get closer to the ceremony. He tries to resuscitate his deceased wife now that the side horns are moving miraculously and after ZYM puts it on. Conan arrives at that precise time and assaults ZYM before he can complete the spell. All of a sudden, the cave begins to tremble and collapse. The device holding Tamara slips into the abyss as the other cult members flee. Conan goes after her to help her because fortunately the sticks on the edges cause it to become trapped on the walls. ZYM, however, also shows there and starts a new sword combat with Conan as he is standing on the apparatus. Conan must hold onto Tamara's chains to save himself from falling as the device slides after the guys trade a few strikes and the entire cave begins to tremble once more. ZYM follows suit and starts rotating the device, but Conan is now able to approach Tamara and eventually liberate her. Tamara flees, and Conan and ZYM battle until one of them is knocked out. Both men hurriedly get out of the way as the machine crashes into them and pursues them closely. In the meantime, Mary Kay searches for Tamara using the scent of her blood, and the two women begin to fight. ZYM follows Conan as he pursues Tamara after hearing her cry his name. Mary Kay is thrown against the wall at that same time, and Tamara gets to hit Mary Kay in the face before running away. However, Mary Kay can still smell her blood and quickly locates her again. She then attempts to murder her with a chain and a rock. Fortunately, Conan appears and stops her by chopping off her hand. Tamara then throws Mary Kay off to her death. Conan and Tamara then attempt to flee, but a column collapses and splits them. ZYM, who acknowledges employing Coran's sword, runs into Conan as he continues to go. When Conan learns of this, he becomes enraged and uses his hands to grab the sword that is rightfully his. Since ZYM already has two other swords, they resume their battle by dual wielding. The two engage in a violent conflict, but this time Conan easily defeats ZYM to the point that he drops his sword and resolves to continue using his father's weapon. ZYM is soon being disarmed by Conan, who also pushes him up against a wall where he is obstructed by falling rubble. Then ZYM is discovered to still be alive as Conan and Tamara reconnect and flee the cave. He is horrified to see his daughter's body and shouts that he will exact retribution. When a wooden board breaks abruptly when Conan and Tamara are sprinting over a bridge, Tamara falls into the opening. Fortunately, Conan saves her by grabbing her shackles just in time. Unfortunately, ZYM appears and completes the magic to resurrect his deceased wife. When Tamara's body is taken over by the old witch's soul, she begs Conan to release her. ZYM mocks Conan for being locked in the same predicament once more when he refuses. But Conan uses his sword to break the bridge, causing ZYM to fall to his death. The magic is quickly broken by this, and Tamara returns to her regular state. Conan then completes raising Tamara, and the two of them successfully exit the cave. Conan returns Tamara to her homeland after the snake cult has been vanquished, promising her a future reunion before departing. Later, Conan visits his hometown to prove to his father's tomb that he is finally deserving of the sword.